Hey everyone, welcome to the 10x Your Success Story Online Summit, where 30 experts will share their skills, secrets, and shortcuts to help you achieve your most ambitious dreams. My name is Jerick, and I am your host. And our guest is the founder of Ace Freelancing. He's a conversion copywriter, content marketer, and a productivity geek who believes that experimentation is vital for finding your true north in life and business. He's been featured on multiple publications like Thrive Global and Money Guru, and he's also the creator of programs such as Zero to Freelancer, the Magnetic Upwork Profile, and the Profitable Upworker. He's on a mission to empower others to carve their own path, find meaningful work, and live their best life. Let's welcome Mr. Chris Acebu. Hi, Chris.
Hi, Jarek. Thank you
Uh,
so much for having me.
yeah, it's awesome to have you. So, Chris, it's like you already achieved a lot of things, no, in life, and you said that your core skill is your entrepreneurial skill. How can you share to us your story? How did you how
hmm
did this help 10x your success story? And you know, what's your story? How did you start?
Right. So I was raised in a traditional Filipino family. So growing up, I wanted to be a creative. I felt that my calling was the pull in my life was really I wanted to do creative work. I either wanted to study music or I wanted to do something artistic, like do architecture or interior design. But then there's this traditional family who's like practical and would tell you to do this or do that because it pays well, when
Exactly.
you're
Yeah.
a professional. So I've been a victim of that kind of mentality, and I ended up studying nursing. So I eventually finished nursing school. I reviewed for the boards, and I became a licensed nurse. So I was just really just being obedient, to what my family wanted for me, and it's what they thought was the best at that time. So yeah, at that time I did my best in nursing school. I actually was one of the people who topped my classes. I topped my reviews and everything. I ranked well on the boards, and then I eventually gave it a try. Worked as a nurse at a local hospital because the process or like what people expect is that you get experience here in the Philippines and you eventually the end goal is to leave the Philippines and work as a nurse abroad because that's where the real money
Exactly.
is.
Yeah.
So 5 months 5 months into my work as a nurse, so like I was about to be regularized during the 6th month. I really did a whole lot of soul searching, weeks and weeks actually within that 5 months. But I was really asking myself, very seriously, and I know it's a tough question for a lot of people. Is like, is this really something that I want to do for the rest of my life? And it's not to vilify, nursing. It's a great profession, and the people who do it, because they love to
Mhm.
help nurse people back to health, is great. But for anyone, you can really create your impact anywhere. There's so many ways to have your impact. So you don't have to fit yourself in a mold just because people force you to do it. So it's important, I think, especially in this generation and time, that we stop and ask ourselves and reflect if what we're pursuing is really something we want to do. So I was faced with that hard question and ultimately made the decision to like, oh my gosh, it's just not for me. I don't want to do this. So I quit on one very stressful day at the hospital and never came back. And that's when I seriously pursued freelancing. So it is my belief that we should lead like passion driven, purpose driven lives, because like in terms of making money online, there's no one way. There's a million ways to make money online.
Yeah.
So the rest are just really mechanics. You can run your e-commerce stores, you can become a copywriter, you can become a virtual assistant, whatever you want to do, it can all bring you money. And a lot of people have this on reverse. It's like they think about the money first and then they try to figure, if it's something they want to do or not. And that kind of like gets really overwhelming because that's kind of like the wrong approach. And I think everyone makes this mistake when they're starting an online business, when they're starting a freelance business, is that they go for the money. They're like, I'm gonna be a social media manager because well, that's where the money is. I'm gonna be a copywriter because that's where the money is. I'm gonna build an e-commerce stores because that's where the money is. Now, for a lot of people, it works out. They actually like it. They actually enjoy it. But for the majority, the stories that we do not see online, it's actually a bad story. I mean, like they don't like it. It's stressful. They wasted so much time. That's because they started with money first, and then try to look for a purpose in that. But that's not how it works. Like you have to go inward first before you can go outward. So I also believe like in order for you to find your passions, you have to experiment. You have to test. You will not know whether you like something or not if you don't try things. So it's important to try, 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 try. So growing up with an employee mindset, it was extra challenging. That's why having this entrepreneurial skills really changed things for me. But it was a long process, and I actually learned entrepreneurship because of my work as a freelancer. So I've had so many service offerings. I actually started as a health writer because of my nursing background. And then from there, I offered so many other services like virtual assistants, admin support, market research. I played games and I got paid to do that. I did transcription. I helped with operations. Did online marketing strategy, social media management, until I got to a point where I'm like doing copywriting now and doing content marketing, and it makes sense. And I know it sounds ridiculous. Like people might wonder, like, Chris, what are you doing? Like you're keep on changing your offer. But what I'm personally doing is I'm just pathfinding. I'm looking for a job that's personally meaningful to me, um, and that I enjoy and that sets my soul on fire. And I want to empower people to do that too, to feel brave enough and empowered enough to follow what their gut is telling them and follow that and lead with their heart. Um, so I actually learned about entrepreneurship in one of my client work with a startup in the US. So we served a lot of other startups in Silicon Valley and Tel Aviv, but like generally startups all over the world, that's just where the majority of the customer base was. So basically I could see what these angel investors were talking about when we're doing their funding, they're running um, funding series to get funded for their startups, like multi-million dollar funding and angel investors, things like that. So that actually also kick-started me as an investor. Like I started investing in a bunch of stuff, like in stocks and VULs, and I have properties now,
Nice.
just to supplement my income as a freelancer. So I actually own a farm. That's something not a lot of people know about me, but I have a timber farm. I have a mango tree plantation. I have a pond. So a bunch of those stuff. And just, it's going on a tangent already, but that's just because my dad is an agriculturist, so he currently manages that for me. So yeah, basically entrepreneurial skills is what you need really to build a profitable freelance business. Like if you go at this and you keep your employee mindset, and I know this is kind of vague, like what's an employee mindset? What's an employee mindset? You'll know, maybe later we can talk about it, but it's a game changer. It's that mindset shift. Because even if you have all the right strategies, all the right tactics, all the tips and tricks, if you don't have the right mental blueprint, you're gonna struggle like forever. You need to make that mindset shift or that change in mindset first before you go at whatever you want to do. So I guess that's pretty much my background.
Well, that's actually a lot, but I really like the thing that you said, that having that entrepreneurial mindset mindset shift is really a game changer. Because you see,
Right.
as Filipinos, we are, you know, we were raised to be an employee, right? We're not really, raised to
Yes.
think about creating a business and stuff like that. But Chris, I just want to ask, because I'm really really interested in knowing this. Where did you get the courage to, resign before um, you were on the verge of getting regularized, right? So where did you get the
Right.
the courage to do that?
Oh my. it was so hard. It was so hard because like growing up, I tried to be really obedient to everyone. I just followed what everyone told me, and I was so used to just following, what people told me, that it got really hard to listen to myself, to what I want, and to what truly matters to me. So that was a huge challenge. But I guess what really led to that decision ultimately was just this massive pain inside of me. Not physical pain, probably more emotional, psychological pain. I would just imagine like I wake up in the morning and I was like, oh, I had that feeling of like I have to go to work again, and I wasn't really looking forward to it. And I was thinking to myself, like, no one should live like this. Like, this is so terrible. If I'm gonna live this, if I'm gonna keep living this just because I can potentially make a lot of money when I'm working abroad, I mean, like, that's no way to live, man. Like, so that huge, massive pain ultimately, you know, pushed me, encouraged me to take that leap of faith. But also, like, really, before I made that decision, I did seek my parents' like approval. I did kind of like had to convince them, like, hey, I don't really want to do this. Do I have your support? And they were supportive, which I'm extremely grateful for. I think that was the nudge that I needed to make that leap.
I think it's just that we, I mean, if we're feeling like that, we're tired of going to work, we're just dragging ourselves. It's just that we need to take a step up to ask for permission from our parents,
Right.
because as you said, you were still respectful of them, and you asked for their permission to go and pursue your dreams outside of employment, right? So for us, it's for everyone who's watching, maybe that's the thing that they need. Maybe they just need to, give themselves permission to ask the approval of those people around, right? And Chris, I know that you have
Right.
experienced a lot of things. You said that you have created a lot of businesses. You've tried freelancing. You now have farmlands and plantations, stuff like that. What else do you want to experience in your life? What kind of vision do you have?
So,
Go ahead.
right. So, really, the last few years was really just about helping people, because like freelancing was this massive opportunity for me, and I feel so incredibly blessed to have discovered it. And backstory, I discovered it by accident during my nursing board review. But it totally changed the projectile in my life, and it changed the life of my family. I've been able to help my siblings go through school. I've been able to help my parents and just take the lead in the family financially. So I'm actually the eldest of 6 siblings. So I still have 3 siblings in college. Well, one of them is in Mastro. Um, but yeah, so I kind of like had that pressure to work my ass off to give everyone a good life. So my vision is really to make that possible, help make that possible for other people, because freelancing can be a way out. I want people to know that they have this option available to them. They can use it. They can use it to do something that they're passionate about. They can use it to make an impact in other people's lives. They can use it to find their purpose and just to make sense of the world. I think that's what we're all trying to do. Um, so I guess like that's my vision. I want people to feel empowered, you through entrepreneurial skills. Because really being an entrepreneur is really just being a problem solver, having the mindset of a problem solver. So whatever comes your way, you'll be able to find a solution for it, no matter how difficult, whether it relates to your life or your business, you'll be able to find a solution, because that's what being an entrepreneur means. And I want to just impart that to people, just imprint it in their heads. Like, that's all you need really to start with a mindset that's a problem solver, and like the rest will just totally make sense. Because again, not to be redundant, whatever problems you face, there's always a solution that you'll find. So you won't see it's an
I agree.
obstacle, you'll see it as an opportunity. And that's what it means to be an entrepreneur.
That's actually a good distinction, because sometimes people think that entrepreneurship is just building businesses, but it's really trying to solve a problem that your
Right.
market has, right?
Exactly. Can I just inject something real quick? A lot of people will like disagree with me because we need employees. Yeah, that is a very fine distinction because you can be an employee with an entrepreneurial mindset. So this is not to say everyone should start their business,
Exactly.
everyone should quit their 9 to 5, their corporate, whatever. If you love your day job, keep it, but have the entrepreneurial mindset. The way you work, the way you contribute to your company's business, your boss's business, is totally different, and the way you approach work is just really different, radical from how you do it with an employee mindset. So just to clarify.
Awesome, awesome. So really, you're passionate about having people develop, helping people develop entrepreneurial mindset, right? Because I think that's one of the things that you have developed and that changed your life. Isn't that true?
Right.
Yeah. All right. So
Yes,
let's say,
absolutely.
Chris, that in a series of unfortunate events, knock on wood, but you lose everything. You lose your money, you lose your followers, you lose your everything, your assets, etc. Um, but one thing that remains is that you have your entrepreneurial skills, right, and the mindset that you have right now. What are the 3 steps that you're going to do to regain everything that you have lost?
Yeah, that's a great question. And if in case I lose everything and I keep my entrepreneurial skills, the one thing that before I even get to the 3 steps, the one thing that's so empowering and so liberating when it comes to understanding how entrepreneurship works, and you can pursue things that you love. So you start inward. So I would ask myself, as an entrepreneur, what do I want to do? And really investigate, like, why do I want to do it? Who do I want to help? Why do I want to make an impact in their lives? Because when you go towards the next steps, you'll stay aligned with your values and your beliefs, and things will just make sense and fall in place. So start inward. So the first step that I would hello
Hello.
hello I lost you.
Yeah. Oh. Anyway, let's continue. So you said that we need to start inward, right, before we go outward, and then
Right,
once you do that, what are your next 3 steps that you're
right.
going to do?
All right, so first step is to find your market. So actually, this is the most important part. It's crucial, crucial, crucial. A lot of new businesses, entrepreneurs, startups, whatever, who start a new business venture will fail because they skip the market part. That's the 80% of any business. You have to know who your market is, and that market needs to exist, and that market needs to need or want what you're offering. You also, when you know your market intimately, deeply, and when you empathize with their problems and pains and challenges and their dreams and aspirations, you'll be able to craft messaging that resonates with them. So when you're writing copy, when you're making a sales letter, when you're making an offer, when you're making an ad, anything that relates to promoting your business will resonate with them because you understand them. And if you do this well, sometimes you'll even understand them better than themselves. Um, and in the world of copywriting, we like to think about this as being a mind reader, where they'll feel like, oh my gosh, like how did you know this was my biggest problem, or something like that. Or another way to think about it is how do you insert yourself in the conversation that they're having inside their heads. So that's a very key skill when it comes to building a business, is to know your market. If you do this right, and if you take the time and the due diligence, everything will be so much easier. A lot of people, they want to jump into the next step, which is to get leads, to get traffic, to get followers, to get likes, or whatever, to make an offer, to create, to push their product or service in front of people's faces, but they skip the market part, which is the 80% that actually a lot of people skip. And the reason being is that it's boring work. It's not fun to do market research. And it feels really boring. And it feels like, oh my gosh, it's just so, sometimes it feels cheesy or corny and it feels unnecessary. But like knowing what I know now as an entrepreneur and having been mentored by so many different people and having invested hundreds of thousands to be mentored by these business people, I know for sure that if there's any takeaway here is you need to hone your skill on knowing your market.
Yep, I agree.
So knowing your market again is crafting the right message and knowing what media you use for your message. So the second step will be to establish or create relationships, like authentic relationships with your market, and just nurture that relationship. So that will depend on what platform you use. But for example, for me, if I'm using Facebook, I'll start authentic connections. It's not coming from a place of like, hey, I want to sell this to you later, but it's just really coming from a place of authenticity and just establishing a relationship, building that know, like, and trust factor until you get to the third step, which is to make your offer when it makes sense to do so. So really our job as marketers is not to kind of force people or manipulate them into buying, but really to help them make a good decision. A decision that we feel will help them, improve their lives or solve their business problems, or eliminate a pain or prevent a pain. So I guess those are the three steps really. And those are actually something that I learned from the one-page marketing plan by Alan did. So first you know your market and then you start generating leads and nurturing those leads, building that relationship, and then make a sale. We try to make an offer. It makes sense to do so. So those are the main mechanics. Of it. Like whatever you want to offer, if you go through those steps, you can build a profitable business. Whether you want to make DIY crafts, whether you want to coach people, whether you want to make a course, whether you want to offer your skills as a service, whatever you want to do, if you have the basic framework down, you can pretty much make money, however you like.
I agree. Those are really fundamentals of marketing, right? You said that your
Right.
step one would be to know your market, which, as you said earlier, entrepreneurship is about solving problems, right? And how are you going to know the problems of the market if you don't know who your market is, right?
Exactly. Yes.
And then next step would be
Yes. And
to build a relationship with
to,
them, right?
yes.
And then make an offer, which is the last step.
Yes.
Did I get it right? Uh,
Yes, yes,
uh,
absolutely. And I think I really dumbed it down there. Like that's really all you need. Like do not overcomplicate it. Um, and like if you try to follow these three steps, you will have an urge, like a really strong urge to skip the first step. A lot of people do. I have for struggled with it. I really hated market research, but it's that thing that you need to do. You absolutely need to do it. Like trust me on this. Like just do the upfront work. That is what we call leg work. It's what you do initially that takes a lot of your time, a lot of your effort. But when you get it out of the way, oh my God, everything's so easy. Everything's so easy. So that's like the number one tip there.
yeah, I agree that it's boring because it's not about us. I mean, you know, um,
Right.
creating offers is about us giving our skills and our service to other people. But market research is about the market, right? And that's why it's boring. So
Yes.
thank you for that wonderful three steps. And again, let me just recap. Your first step would be to know your market and research about it, and then next would be to establish a relationship, an authentic and genuine relationship with them, and lastly would be to offer your services
Yeah.
if it makes sense, right? Can you expound on
Right.
that for me? How do you know that it makes sense to offer your services or products to your market?
Yeah, sure. So when I say it makes sense, it kind of relies on gut feel. So obviously, you don't want to hold back on giving your offer if you feel that the client needs it at that moment. But also, you don't want to make that offer if it doesn't make sense to do so yet. Like for example, they haven't opened up to you about their problems, about what they want to solve, or you haven't known them enough, and they haven't known you enough. Um, for them to have that level of trust to make a transaction, for you to confidently make an offer that you'll sure will have a great chance of converting into a sale. So when it makes sense to do so, just means like trust your gut. You'll know because like we all don't want anyone who's salesy. Like like people were raised like hating salespeople. So you'll know in your gut instinctively when it makes sense to make the sale. But just important to keep in mind that you shouldn't hold back. Once the client is ready, once they're looking for a solution, insert yourself in that narrative, make that offer. And you won't feel salesy because you've already established a genuine relationship. You already show them that you truly care about them, and you must really truly care about them, and you've nurtured that relationship. So when it's time to make that offer, they'll like choose you. They'll pick you to solve their problem, even simply because they trust you. And it's so much easier rather when you do it that way.
Awesome. Thank you for that, Chris. Now let's go to the last question. We've talked about your story and your vision, and we've talked about the three steps that you're going to do if you lost everything. Right now, it's time for us to, or it's time for me to ask you, um, what else do you want to contribute to the world, and how are you thinking of achieving that?
So in terms of contribution, my mission is really to empower people to carve their own path and find meaningful work so that they can live their best life. I feel that in the 21st century, and now we're approaching the 22nd, with technology and the internet, there's so many possibilities. But a lot of people are still asleep. They're not awakened to that reality that, you can grab the opportunity by the neck and just run with it. So I want to show people that it's possible to live a life that you want. You don't have to conform to society. You don't have to conform to your parents' expectations of you. And that's really hard to overcome for a lot of people. It certainly has been for me. But when you overcome that, you're liberated. Oh my gosh. And then you can really make your true impact. I think there's this popular quote from Einstein where he talks about like if you compare a fish to a monkey and you think about the fish's ability to climb, the fish will live its life thinking it's stupid or it's not capable. So I just paraphrase that, but that's the same thought. Like if you truly want to serve someone, to create an impact, let's say to help them grow their business as a virtual assistant, if that truly makes sense to you, and then you're stuck at a day job, try to slowly ease into that transition. Follow your heart, follow your gut, because the biggest regret, and there's so much research done about this, the biggest regret people have is that they live their life not doing what they wanted to do when they had a chance. So I want that for people. Like I don't want people getting to the end of their lives, regretting that they should have done this or that. Because we should overcome that limiting belief that we have to have a job with good benefits and we have to save until retirement and then just enjoy life once we're retired, which is so ridiculous. I absolutely I hate saying the word hate, but I absolutely like don't like that kind of like societal structure, that paradigm that this everyone has built around us. So you can feel free to experiment, and once you have that entrepreneurial mindset, you'll have everything else that comes with it, which is like a risk taking and so many of the other qualities that entrepreneurs have. So you're not afraid of failure. You're not afraid of being judged. You're not afraid of being different. You're not being afraid of being alone. And I want you to feel that that's part of the journey. But, if you really stick with it because you followed your heart and you trusted your gut, it'll be worth it in the end. Like, I promise you. And I don't mean for you to take that too seriously because I am like still in my late 20s. Um, but knowing what I know now with the wisdom that I have, I feel that that's the way to go, to build a world where people love what they do, where people wake up and they're excited to go to work, where people are, doing something that sets their soul on fire and that people feel aligned. That's like my dream for the world. And I want that for everyone. And I believe everyone can have it if they have the right resources. So how I can do it, like I do that through my blogging at acefreelancing.com. And I do create regular content over at my Facebook page. And I'll be moving a bunch of videos over to YouTube as well. So just sharing my thoughts, my experiences, and
Nice.
just sharing my voice with the world, putting myself out there, and
That's awesome.
doing this as well, doing summits, speaking at events, workshops, and like I even do a bunch of like I coached and mentored a lot of freelancers for free, and that's just my way of really giving back because I just feel so infinitely blessed and grateful to have found, figured things out. And obviously, it's not all happy and rainbows and unicorns, and you'll have problems along the way. But again, as an entrepreneur, you embrace problems as opportunities. So if you solve problems, that will just lead to more better quality problems. And you just have to embrace that as part of the process and really just have fun solving problems because that's where happiness comes from, from solving problems. Now, really going on a tangent there. Sorry, but yeah, I guess that's it. Just continue giving value, helping, and that's how we change the world. One day at a time.
All right. Thank you. I mean, for you, it's really about making an impact to the world, right? By equipping them with entrepreneurial mindset and skills. So it's very rare for people to advocate for that. That's why I could really resonate with your message. Anyway, Chris, thank you for
Awesome.
spending time with me and sharing your knowledge. Do you have any free resources for people to consume? And how can people follow you?
Sure. All right. So I'm over at Facebook at facebook.com/ace freelancing. I also share weekly newsletter about marketing, business, and productivity and freelancing. It's called the Freelance Press. You can subscribe over at my website, acefreelancing.com. And because I'm really experienced with Upwork, so it's something that I like to help, people with. If you want to get more invites and get more leads, if you're using Upwork to build your freelance business, I created a free guide. It's called 3 Upwork Hacks to help your profile stand out so you can get more invites and clients. So that you can get a copy of that over at acefreelancing.com/Upwork Hacks. So I guess that's it.
All right, so everyone who's watching, it's acefreelancing.com/Upwork hacks. Again, the link would be below the video. So go ahead and follow Chris if you are using Upwork. Thank you, Chris, for spending the time with me and giving us the
Of
privilege to
course.
interview you on this summit. Have a great day.
Yes. Yeah, thank you so much, Derek, and have a great day as well. All right, bye.